Hey up everybody, how you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you could join me. Right, I've got Brits stunned to learn how much poorer they are than Americans. Really? I wonder where they went to ask this. I think most of us know now. I know that we dropped below, or your bottom state got higher GDP. Quite well. I only heard of it a few weeks, maybe a few months ago, that we are now poorer than every single one of your states. But again, doesn't surprise me. Absolutely doesn't surprise me the way things are going. Seems like all over the Western world at the minute. But again, I don't feel as though I need to be told how bloody poor we are. But anyway, I want to watch this. Might cheer me up a little bit. Right, anyway, while we're here, we'll give it a subscribe. The British Guy Reacts. Give it a like. So intrigued and interested to see what the people say. Surely they're not that surprised.
So according to the Institute of Economic Affairs, Britain is now poorer than all 50 American states. We've been overtaken, this is by GDP per capita, we've been overtaken by Mississippi, which is the poorest American state. But what's really interesting is they did a poll of 3,000 British voters asking them where they thought the UK was in terms of wealth, and British people thought that on average they would be the 7th wealthiest state if it was an American state. So the question is, what?
Right, on that he's just said there, before I learnt the news a few weeks, a few months ago, I can't quite remember when, I probably might have said that as well. I'd have thought that you might have had a couple of states, at least a couple of states that are not making quite the same GDP as here. But again, I don't know whether it's because of everything that's going on in the world at the minute that GDPs are dropping, that we literally drop below, or Mississippi and the others GDPs went up. I genuinely don't know, but I know that we are now a hell of a lot poorer. We feel it, we damn bloody feel it over here and all, I'm telling you.
Why do British people think they're much wealthier than they actually are? If Britain was an American state, how wealthy do you think it would be? How many American states do you think are wealthier than us in terms of GDP per capita?
Blimey heck, me. You're asking the wrong person. Let's say 30, just ballpark
30.
guess. I have genuinely no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think depending on the area as well. If we're talking like different areas of the UK.
So this is the UK as a whole versus all the each American state.
So in comparison, is that the question?
Yes.
What state?
Yeah. So what state will we be most like? How many states are poorer than us? How many states are richer than us?
Again, mate, I have no idea.
Yeah, this is not a you question.
See, I'd have said 40 to 45, I feel, if I was asked that question, if I didn't know what I found out a few months ago.
Is there a right answer?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you the answer.
Is it the right answer?
Yeah, have a guess.
So how many are richer than the UK?
Yeah, so it's 50 states.
Yeah.
If we were a state, how rich would we be?
I reckon we are in the lower 25%. I'm saying like a quarter.
That's definitely true.
Is it?
Extremely true. Actually, so we would actually be the 51st state, the poorest state. Every single American state, we've been overtaken by Mississippi, which was the poorest American state. And there was a survey done for 3,000 British voters were polled, and most British voters thought we would be about 7th. Which is 7th out of 50, whereas we're actually 51.
Oh my god.
So why do you think we're so much poorer than the Americans?
Because everything here is so expensive. So the housing market, for example, the houses you could get in the US versus a house in the UK, you're talking like triple the size.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone's money is spent on rent, mortgages. It's just so much more expensive here. I also think that
I'm not very good at figuring out what classes. So a lot of middle class, they dress a lot like working class, but they stand out a bit much. These are a middle class, so none of the stuff's hitting them that much.
the job market, the amount that people get paid for the same jobs in America is significantly more. So it's just not giving people fair opportunities because of the amount of money that, and tax. Most of people's wages go to tax as well, so the actual take home is very, very limited.
So if Britain was to join the United States as the 51st state, how many states do you think would be richer than us per person, and how many would be poorer than us?
Ooh. I would say there'd probably be 20 states richer.
Yeah.
And then 32 poorer.
Is he American? I can't tell.
And just to clarify, so your perspective, you're from Northern Ireland originally, which is obviously part of the UK.
Oh, My God, see, I've said this before. A lot of you be like, "What you want about American? He's Irish." I don't. Right, to me now, all the voices, accents are muddled together. I could be watching someone for ages before I genuinely realise where they're from. But like, oh my God, I assumed there was this or that. But yeah, I heard American.
But you now live in Texas, so you've got both perspectives.
For sure, there's a lot of rich people in the U.S., but only in certain states like New York.
I'm sorry, no. I am hearing American.
Or Texas,
Perspective. You're from Northern Ireland originally, which is obviously part of the UK, but you now live in Texas, so you've got both perspectives.
For sure, there's a lot of rich people in the U.S., but only in certain states like New York, Texas, California. But then you go to like Oklahoma and stuff, and they're just not that rich there.
So I'm possibly going to surprise you, because according to the new study, every single American state is now wealthier per person than the UK, including Mississippi, which was it still is the poorest state per capita, has now overtaken the UK.
Wow, that's crazy. I had no idea.
So this kind of leads us on to the next question. Why do you think British people think we're richer than we are?
I would say there's a lot more middle class in Britain.
He's definitely going for that Tom Cruise look, and he's just about to say what I've just pointed out with that last couple there. I say couple, them two people a minute ago, that they're middle class, so they don't see it, and I think he's about to say that.
This kind of leads us on to the next question. Why do you think British people think we're richer than we are?
I would say there's a lot more middle class in Britain.
Yeah.
So, if you drive around small towns in America, it looks like there's a lot of poor people, but there's also a lot of rich people in the U.S.
I heard Irish then. He went from American to Irish.
Yeah, so...
Sorry.
So, if you drive around small towns in America, it looks like there's a lot of poor people, but there's also a lot of rich people in the U.S., so it just varies. I think the general middle class in the UK just feels like they're richer.
Yeah. And what's very interesting is that, you say, was it 25th or something? Mm-hmm. You did a lot better than the British public as a whole. So the British public, 3,000 people were surveyed, and the average was 7th. They thought we'd be the 7th richest state, when we'd be the 51st.
Yeah, wow.
So clearly there's a big disconnect between how rich British people think they are and how rich we actually are.
For sure. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah,
crazy. It is huge. There was a recent survey that found that Britain is now poorer than all 50 American states. We've just been overtaken by Mississippi. Yeah. Does that surprise you?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, we get run down a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Britain's as bad as people say.
Yeah. But there was also a poll, and British people think that if Britain was an American state, we'd be the 7th richest state. So the actual answer is 51. We would be the poorest American state.
But it depends who you ask, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Ask the rest of the people, that might get a different answer.
Do you think that, because obviously like quality of life stuff, like we have like free healthcare and stuff, do you think that kind of makes up for there not being so rich GDP per capita?
It depends what you deem as being rich though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're talking monetary, lifestyle, quality of life. Wouldn't go to America if you paid me.
Really?
I've got no interest in going to America.
Do you think, so a lot of Americans...
Certainly wouldn't go now.
If Britain was an American state, if we were the 51st state, how many states do you think would be richer than us, and how many states do you think would be poorer than us?
Oh, that's a very good question. I like that one.
Thank you.
I don't know what a state is. Can you give me an example?
So like California, Texas, Florida.
Texas.
There's 50 states in the American Union. If Britain was to become the 51st state, how many states would we be richer than? How many would we be poorer than?
Oh, that's fun. Do you know?
I reckon we'd be in the top 10.
You reckon?
I reckon we'd be in the top 10, yeah, because I feel like London's got a lot of business going on. It's got a very flourishing capital, do you know what I mean? It's like if you look where we are now, lots of tourists.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say about top 10, definitely, yeah.
That's interesting. What about you, June?
Because I like the number 2, I'm going to say top 22.
Top 22. That's nice and even.
Yeah,
I've got some bad news. We would be the 51st, the poorest. If every single American state, including Mississippi and Alabama, which are the poorest states, are now richer than Britain on a per capita basis, so per person. Yeah.
No way, that doesn't make sense.
But what's interesting is that there was a big survey done, and most British people think that we would be number 7. So 3,000 British people were asked, and the average number was we would be number 7, which is pretty much what you thought.
Yeah, I said 10. Yeah.
And so you were actually more accurate than the average British person. So why do you think we're so much poorer than Americans, and why don't we realise it?
Education.
I think it will be because like right now, probably like London's not like it's not like looking after itself and we're not looking after each other. I don't feel like there's a lot of a community or like there's not much of a community here. I feel like everyone's very like segregated in certain regards. Like they're segregated within their communities.
That's exactly
and I feel
true.
like we don't look to help each other out. It's everyone's each for their own, which overall, even though each for your own you think would benefit you, I feel like overall negatively impacts everyone.
Do you think America has better communities than we do? Stronger communities?
I feel like, yeah, definitely in certain states, like even if you don't like those communities, I feel like there's definitely some mad communities out there, like, do you know what I mean? But I feel like if you go to each state, there's a very tight knit. Like if you go to Alabama, you know what type of person you're expected to meet.
Never heard anyone say Alabama before. Alabama.
If you're going to Texas, you kind of know, you know what I mean? You know what a Texas person's going to be like, you feel me?
Yeah. Do you agree with this?
Well, isn't it because we also had lockdown as well?
But the Americans did as well.
I mean, you know what a Texas person's going to be like, you feel me?
Yeah. Do you agree with this?
Well, isn't it because we also had lockdown as well?
But the Americans did as well. I wish we could use that excuse.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. I think there's a lot of
Bless
bums here as well. I can't lie. There's a lot of people that don't really work a lot.
Because America has less welfare.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in America, like, I don't know, even though they've got a terrible, well, in my opinion, terrible Prime Minister or President, whatever it's called,
President,
that thing. I think we have a lot of lazy people in the UK, whereas America, I feel like everyone's like really bright, really happy.
See, right, for me, it's about to finish, I'll get to the end.
Yeah, I want to work, like, I feel like it's more fun.
Right, for me.
Top 10 beautiful cities
Oh, look at that.
in the
I'm
USA.
going to do this in a minute.
Number 1.
See where I can't afford to.
New York.
Pause.
The city that never sleeps.
Yeah, no, what that lady was saying there, that young lady was saying there about people being lazy. The benefit system in this country is being set up in such a way that once you're on it, you can't get off of it. It's done so everyone falls one by one and gets on it, I'm telling you. Yeah, I don't know, but again, very shocked. And bless her bloody cotton socks, education's messed up in it, all over the bloody world. But yeah, no, I massively enjoyed that. But again, it didn't shock me. I was more shocked that they were shocked. So you had that girl that didn't really know at all. That one fella that was being extremely evasive and trying to think of the right word to use. But yeah, being very difficult, wasn't he? But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that. But yeah, I'm going to move on and do now the top 10 cities in the USA. See where I can't afford to move to. Well, anyway, if you enjoyed that, give us a thumbs up if you want to, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.